guys, welcome back to Bushwick Famous, a critical podcast about the music industry. Today we have a doozy of an episode that will probably be how long it takes me to get through 16 pages of single-spaced text.
God.
But before that, I wanted to ask, and turn off my phone alarm, but before that, I wanted to ask, Jan, how was your show today at Tompkins? Tell us what you were up to.
God, yeah, today I played a show with Diary in Tompkins Square Park. This was a part of Showbrain's free shows that they organize.
Long live Showbrain, our friend Ozzy.
They are a nonprofit, so if you're New York based, definitely come out to their shows. They're hosting them all the way through October, I believe, basically until it gets too cold.
Anytime it's acceptable to play outside.
But it was great. We played with Tea Eater, Pawns.
We love Tea Eater.
Tea Eater were awesome.
Our friend, I have a story that's adjacent to Tea Eater when you're done.
Amazing. My last note for it was a really fun show. Jack White was there.
Shut up. What, today?
Today.
Shut the fuck up.
I don't think he stayed for our set, though. He was there for Tea Eater's set. Came up to one of
that makes sense.
Yeah. He came up to one of our bandmates who was just wearing like a striped shirt and was like, I like your shirt.
Of course he does. It's Jack White.
And then said bandmate proceeds to take a photo of the back of Jack White's head and send it in the group chat. Jack White just talked to me. But anyways, that was
so funny.
Highlight.
I'm so glad I remembered to ask you about this.
It was very fun.
Oh my God. Fuck, that's funny. Okay, well, my adjacent story, and the reason that I'm not super surprised who's there to see Tea Eater is members of the band Tea Eater are, of course, in the band Gustav.
Yeah.
Who are, if you're not tuned into our very specific post-punk rock scene, one of the more well-known, currently touring post-punk bands out there. They're also very good, incidentally.
Absolutely.
And those two things are not always correlated to me, but they are very good. I like Gustav a lot, which is why I went to go see Gustav open for another local band in a practice studio building a couple weeks ago. We haven't recorded since then, but I did want to tell you about it because it felt very New York to me insofar as like this big brick building that I could not figure a way inside of, and I was just sort of walking around asking the door people at various other close by spaces, like, how do I get to this number? Until a very nice person outside saw me and took pity on me and let me in, because she was immediately like, you're going to the show. And I was like, correct. I had my laptop with me also because I was going to go to the Kava bar right after to script this very episode. But I went, and inside this, like, Byzantine building, you've been in the specific building we're talking about, but it's like so many, like, just a maze, each floor of tiny little practice spaces, basically. And the one that we were going to in particular, like, sort of loops around. So as you, like, approach, there's a door to your left that just had the band, and they were saying there, and then you're supposed to go forward and loop around, and then everybody's there facing the band. And I went inside, and Jan, it was the hottest room I have ever been in, and I do not mean that in the aesthetic sense.
Oh, yeah.
I went in, and it's like tables of Budweiser and White Claw and shit. And someone I know, actually, God bless them, saw me and was like, hey, I think there's like a regular seltzer there on the table. And I was like, God bless you, but I checked and there is not. And it was this like super tightly packed crowd of like a very representative rock crowd of like, slightly offbeat people and fashion, myself very much included. Bunch of people that we knew there. Ozzy, actually, Showbrain Ozzy was there, said hi, and it was a great show. But because I'm like borderline claustrophobic at this point in my life, I just don't love crowds like that in tight spaces like that. So I ended up, possibly in a douchey manner, I'm not sure, but I ended up at the door that just led straight into the band.
Right.
So they were performing forwards, and I was essentially watching them from like the backstage position you would be in.
Right.
And there was a small group of people out there with me. I was having a great time, man. I was having a way better time out there and a way better view than I would have, which is why I'm like, maybe that was douchey of me. But I'm tall as shit, right? I'm 5'11". I'm sure I was wearing heels. In that crowd, I could not see the band from the back of the room.
That's crazy.
I guess because they weren't on a riser.
Sure, yeah.
But
all level. But
I don't.
It was a tall crowd.
There was also a step up when you came into the practice space. So I genuinely am not aware of how I could not have seen the band over that crowd, but it was packed as fuck. It was like crowd crush approaching levels of packed, which is, when I say I'm borderline claustrophobic, that's pretty much what I mean. When someone is touching me on all four sides, I'm like, I gotta go.
I get that.
I would rather miss this show than be here right now. But I did watch the whole show, and Gustav put on a very, very, very good show, as they always do. And I was searching for a way to go out afterwards that wouldn't involve waiting for the elevator with 20 people. And so I sort of just wandered around the back rooms of this building for a little while, ran into some random people and would just be like, hey, where's the stairs? Because I was like, surely the stairs will be better. No one could direct me to stairs. I don't know. That seems like a fire hazard of some sort.
Probably.
Again, you know this building. I eventually found a different elevator, went down, stumbled out the front. Oh, it also was revealed to me that the very nice person who let me in was the bassist of Gustav.
Fair.
And I was like, thank you for letting me in. And saw someone, I get like a high off of shows, like a contact high. And so I like stumble out of the building. And I saw someone I know, or like more accurately used to know, outside. And I was like, what are you doing here? He was like, oh, I'm here to practice. And I was like, okay, well, there's a show that just ended upstairs. And I was like, why am I talking to this person? And I was like, bye, and just like stumbled away into the night. I was like, this is like the kind of thing that when I was 24, I was doing like every other night.
Right.
I sometimes miss those days. That was a good reminder of that, I feel like.
Yeah, I love, so for further context, that particular practice space that you went to is the practice space that we use for diary.
Which is why we're not naming anything around it.
Exactly. But it's, when you were like describing the whole thing, like I know exactly the experience that you're going through, because despite knowing that building relatively well, I still get lost.
The whole block is like one giant building that is different street numbers.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah. It's literally like the Backrooms movie, which I have not seen, but it's like you could get lost in there for
100%.
forever. Yeah, it's very bizarre.
But to that point, I feel like it's the perfect space to host DIY shows like this.
Yeah, because who's going to hear it?
Exactly. There will be zero noise complaints. It's a fun experience for everyone. It's like a little maze scavenger hunt. So I think we should do more of it.
It was very DIY. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's my anecdote.
I love it.
Of the month. Also, as we discussed off screen, my first intern started this past week, and he's great, and I'm both excited and nervous about that because I've never actually been anyone's boss before, except insofar as my general personality, which would lead you to think I maybe had been someone's boss before, but I haven't. So,
you're gonna do great.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
Like I said, he's great. It'll be easy to make the thing good, you know?
Yeah.
But
I think it'll be a great experience for both of you. It'll be a lot of weight off your shoulders. But yeah.
My friends have been commenting on the amount of weight on my shoulders for arguably 3 years now.
So long. You put a lot of pressure on yourself.
I've signed up for this, man.
Yes, and you're doing amazing.
I've signed up for this. Also, you have room to talk. You have a 9 to 5 and you play in 2 bands that are actively touring. I'm shocked you said yes to this podcast. I'm shocked every day that you did. I'm glad you did. And I think I knew you would, because you're also crazy.
Exactly.
But I'm shocked. I'm not sure you should have.
No.
I'm not sure either of us should have.
But we're doing it now. We've committed to it.
Weirdly, we're way better about this than we are about, like, playing music together.
I know.
I don't know why. It's very strange. You probably just have too many bands at this point.
I do. At this point, that's definitely the case. But I was thinking about the other day, too. I was like, how better we are at meeting up consistently for this and committing to this than we were for like any other project we tried doing together.
Yeah, which I don't know what that says. I don't know if I love what it says, because I would love to be good at meeting up and being in a band.
Yeah.
I have not been in a band. That's like on my goal list, you know? But I like the thought, like, I'm glad we're doing it. It's fun.
It is.
This is the kind of like math homework type fun that I revel in because I am a huge dork. I don't think I've said this on the podcast before. When I was in middle school, I both planned our only school dance, which was the Halloween dance, and started a math club.
That's amazing. The duality of mankind.
Yeah, I've been like this my whole life, is what I'm saying.
That's perfect. I feel like that's a very rare maybe it's not that rare. I feel like socially we're told that that's a rare combination. That there's like
it's like social intelligence,
exactly,
and
like,
logical intelligence, practical, not practical. That's not practical.
Or like extroversion.
And then there's street smarts, right? That's the plane here. I think.
Absolutely, and just generally like extroversion doesn't necessarily correlate to nerdiness. Like there's always that kind of disconnect.
Sure, yeah.
I guess at least
I was never popular. Don't get me fucking wrong here.
Well.
I was popular among the weird gay art nerds, I guess. Fair. You could argue. I went to 11 proms.
That's sick. That's so cool.
They were just all with gay platonic friends of mine.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, maybe, for context, I've never been to a prom. Like, that's not a thing in Ukraine.
Ukraine or Canada.
I mean, I'm sure it was a thing in Canada. I don't know. But to me, that's like a major flex.
It is one of my rare high school flexes. Yeah, I went to a lot of fucking proms.
Yeah. That's sick.
Some of which were on a boat.
What the fuck?
America's weird.
That's... Okay, well, we'll have to talk about that later.
Okay, yeah, moving on. Okay, so today, as I've told you, we are talking about Livenation Ticketmaster. And more specifically, the current federal case about them. So, Jan, what's your impression of Livenation? Without going too much into any news you may have been reading, but like, what's your vibe on Livenation and or Ticketmaster?
So, vibe-wise, both Livenation and Ticketmaster have been leading companies in the live sector of the industry for like years and years at this point. Decades. And they have historically been known for being shitty towards artists. Not gonna lie, like not gonna sugarcoat the situation or whatever.
I don't think the execs are watching this.
No, it's been an ongoing and known issue within the industry and amongst artists for years. And a lot of artists have tried to combat it through their own ticket pricing, and Livenation especially, that's just not a priority for them, or hasn't been up until I think recently, because they're in this federal mess. They just like making money and taking advantage of people.
Well,
so
episode over. That was the point.
That was the whole point.
That was the whole thing. It's 16 pages of just that copy and pasted over and over. So Livenation, these are all true impressions, I would say. Livenation was recently found to be a monopoly by a jury, as we discussed way back on our first episode, where my point was basically that we should be paying more attention to this than to the geese scandal that was happening at the time, even though this is very complicated and confusing. So I am putting my money where my mouth is, because I will never write a check that my ass cannot cash. So we're going to pay attention to this today.
Yeah.
Pay attention. So May 23rd, 2024, 2 years ago, the Federal Department of Justice brought an antitrust lawsuit against Livenation Entertainment and Ticketmaster Entertainment, LLC. Livenation Entertainment is sort of the umbrella name for the greater Livenation Corporation at this point. There was a company named just Livenation previously, but now it is Livenation Entertainment. Mm-hmm. I will just be calling it Livenation because who gives a shit. But the federal government is accusing these companies, which are one company, of being a monopoly. That actually isn't even the full case name, like US DOJ versus Livenation Entertainment and Ticketmaster Incorporated. Like, the actual full case name includes the 38 states that have signed on to this.
Wow.
If you look it up on Wikipedia, the little info box that it says, like, case name, it's literally like that long.
That's wild.
38 states and DC, I believe, is the entities that have signed on to this, which means that the state AGs were basically like, yes, we think this has a point. So the case has been going on for a while, obviously, and back in March of this year, 10 states and the feds worked out a settlement with Livenation. This settlement, such as it was, is pretty toothless, according to experts in the topic, and that is sort of borne out by the fact that all of these other states are continuing with the case against them. New York is included in that. Our AG, Letitia James, announced that we will not agree to the DOJ settlement and instead continue legal action against Livenation. And I say we when I'm talking about New York because this is literally the only thing I'm patriotic about. It's New York City. So on a personal note, when I was more active in like activist stuff, I had very mixed feelings about Tish James because it was her like department that was essentially like sort of arresting all my friends. But she has also done a lot of work opposing the Trump regime and has been like standing on business with regards to that. So on balance, I would say, yay, Tish. In April of this year, the jury, so after the settlement, the jury finds Livenation guilty of being a monopoly. Currently, the Judge Arun Subramanian, is determining what the remedy should be or what the government should order Livenation to do in order to make them not a monopoly anymore. Also, Jan, I've only written a few like direct questions to you into this, so feel free to interject whenever.
Sounds good, yeah.
Speaking of which, Jan, what do you think a monopoly is?
Oh, God.
Basic, whatever you got. If you got anything, you don't have to know. It's fine. I go into incredible depth on it.
Amazing. Well, my understanding, and I should have a more defined definition, honestly, considering my business background.
Forgot about that. I'm like, don't worry, you're an artist. It's fine. You don't have to know it.
I've been an artist
Music
for too
business
long.
masters.
A monopoly is when a single company or single organization entity has the majority claim in terms of profit share within an industry and just overall control within a particular industry. So that's my definition.
Very good. Yes, that's basically the definition. I'm going to paraphrase parts of the Wikipedia article on monopolies because we live in AI information hell, and I'm clinging to the idea that Wikipedia might be still kind of reliable. Also, this is not a high school essay, so I'm going to use Wikipedia. Fuck it. And I quote, "A monopoly is a market in which one person or company is the only supplier of a particular good or service. Ding. It is characterized by a lack of economic competition to produce a particular thing, a lack of viable substitute goods, and the possibility of a high monopoly price well above the seller's marginal cost that leads to a high monopoly profit." So to put this in terms that I can understand as someone who did not go to business school, the New York t-shirt printing market, which I, of course, work in, would be a monopoly if a freak virus that only affected straight men were introduced into the water supply of New York. And only I was left to serve the needs of the people. I would have no competition, and the people who need t-shirts printed would have a lack of viable substitute goods, other people who can print their t-shirts, and I would probably jack my prices up in this hypothetical scenario where I am evil, even though I probably wouldn't be paying more for my supplies or labor. I might even be paying less because suddenly there's less competition for those supplies. Back to Wikipedia. The verb monopolize refers to the process by which a company gains the ability to raise prices or exclude competitors. This is what I will be doing when I loose my evil virus on the straight men of New York City and surrounding municipalities. Back to Wikipedia. In law, a monopoly is a business entity that has significant market power, that is, the power to charge overly high prices. So these are very entwined concepts, which is associated with unfair price rates. So the word monopoly can either refer to the market that is being monopolized or the business that is monopolizing said market. And then this I found particularly interesting. A monopoly, the business, may also have monopsony, control of a sector of a market. A monopsony is a market situation in which there is only one buyer. Likewise, a monopoly should be distinguished from a cartel, in which several providers act together to coordinate services, prices, or sale of goods. Monopolies, monopsonies, and oligopolies are all situations in which one or a few entities have market power and therefore interact with their customers or suppliers in ways that distort the market. To carry on with my terrible analogy, if my company suddenly became the only major buyer of screen printing ink because of this cooties-based boy virus, that would be a monopsony because I could drive the price down by getting the different companies to undercut each other because they can no longer sell to anyone but me. And when I eventually find the one other woman-run print shop in the tri-state area, we will form a cartel and force all of the bands to accept shitty work at a high price because she and I will have agreed to terms that are only beneficial to us, and the band still can't go anywhere else.
Right.
I will be more or less conflating those other terms with monopoly here, as I believe most of the articles that I sourced from do as well. But I think there's actually a very strong argument to be made that for artists, Livenation acts as a monopsony as well, which we will get to. Now, why is Live Nation a monopoly, you may ask? The first red flags that Live Nation was going to be a problem are old enough to drive. If you rewind to 2008, Ticketmaster is separate from Live Nation. Their market share in ticketing for major concert venues, Ticketmaster that is over 80% in 2008. They had been the dominant business in this market for over 2 decades. As you say, everyone had already hated them way back when. And the way that they anchored that in was mostly through long-term exclusivity contracts with venues, which makes it much harder for competitors to break in. And during this time, ticketing was moving primarily online, which, of course, drastically reduces Ticketmaster's operating costs because you don't need to fucking print everything and send it to people in the mail.
Yeah.
But do you think they have ever reduced their fees?
Of course not.
No, of course not. That would be terrible business. Meanwhile, Live Nation in 2008, so again, they're separate companies at this point. Live Nation had been constructed of mostly minor acquisitions of other concert promoters. In fact, Wikipedia claims, quote, that the company's business was built around consolidating concert promoters into a national entity to counter the oversized influence of ticket behemoth Ticketmaster. So Live Nation was sort of formed in response to Ticketmaster and was intended to monopolize this market, basically. Interestingly, Michael Rapino, the current CEO of Live Nation, the big company, became the CEO of Live Nation, the small company, in 2005.
Oh, wow.
He is an institution, dude. Like, that's crazy.
No idea.
21 years as the CEO of Live Nation.
That's huge. Okay.
Yeah, right? Like, that is, I would argue, possibly oversized influence for one person
Probably.
to have. So Live Nation was described at the time by the Associated Press as the world's largest concert promotion firm. And fun fact, Live Nation owned the chain The House of Blues, which, via the butterfly effect, led to 16-year-old me breaking my first phone when it fell out of my pocket while I was crowd surfing at a Real Big Fish concert.
Oh, wow.
One of my first ever concerts was Real Big Fish.
That's
possibly
amazing.
Twice. That may have been my first tip.
That's amazing. That's so much better than my first concerts.
What was it?
One of them was Justin Timberlake and Jay-Z. The other was Hannah Montana.
I am slightly lying when I say Real Big Fish, because definitely when I was like 7, my dad took me to a Cheetah Girls concert.
Oh my God.
Which I remember extremely fondly and probably started my love for colored animal print.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for context, my mom
great
took me
merch.
to both of those, but the Justin Timberlake and Jay-Z thing, I don't know why she decided to bring me to that.
Oh, that wasn't your decision?
No.
I should have clocked that, because I was like, knowing what I know about you, I was not like, oh yeah, Jan loves boy bands and gangster rap. That is so funny.
Anywho.
And it didn't deter you from the industry. Wow.
I know. Surprise.
What was your first one of your own volition? Do you remember?
I think it was Hannah Montana. That was my own volition. That was absolutely me.
Fair enough. So, in 2009, Ticketmaster and Live Nation attempt to merge into one company. They both basically dominated their segments of the market already, so this was such an immediate alarm bell for the creation of a total monopoly that the feds were like, absolutely fucking not. So the feds forced Ticketmaster to license its proprietary software to a competitor and to sell one of its subsidiaries to another in order to go through with the merger. The idea here is that these steps would have prevented this new mega corporation from actually becoming a monopoly. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, is all I have to say about that. Like, that seems like a kind of baby couple steps there. In retrospect, hindsight's 20/20. So the Obama admin also sort of included in this, like, you can't retaliate against people that work with competitors of yours. Immediately my question on that, right, is like, how are we overseeing this? Because the people, like, this mega corporation would be retaliating against would be independent venues, artists who don't want to work with them. The people who would be retaliated against here probably don't have the money to bring like a federal case or the time, frankly. That might be the bigger sticking point, right? Because you can find pro bono lawyers for some stuff, but like, I don't know, the venue owners we know, they're not bringing a fucking case against Live Nation. Like, that is truly a David and Goliath kind of situation. So that, again, I find this to be very wishy-washy. This is called the consent decree. Bruce Springsteen may have the gift of premonition, because while addressing a February 2009 Ticketmaster crash that fucked over people trying to get tickets to one of his tours, he wrote this on his website, and I'm going to read you quite a bit of it because it is very good.
Okay.
Okay. I probably could do a Jersey accent, but I'm not going to. Last Monday, we were informed that Ticketmaster, and I'm Bruce Springsteen here. Last Monday, we were informed that Ticketmaster was redirecting your login requests for tickets at face value to their secondary site, Tickets Now, which specializes in upselling tickets at above face value. They did this even when other seats remained available at face value. We condemn this practice. We perceive this as a pure conflict of interest. Ticketmaster is there to ensure that we have a good, fair sale of our tickets at their face value plus normal ticketing charges. Tickets Now is supposed to be a secondary site where people who already have tickets may exchange, trade, and unfortunately speculate with them. We have asked this redirection from Ticketmaster to Tickets Now cease and desist immediately, and Ticketmaster has agreed to do so in the future and removed its unwanted material from their and our site. We know the many cynical arguments some make in favor of the Ticketmaster system. There are rumors that some artists or managers participate in Ticketmaster charges. We do not. As in, they don't profit from it. There are rumors that some artists or managers are receiving a percentage of the amount above face value at secondary outlets like Tickets Now. We do not. Some artists or managers may not perceive there to be a conflict between having the distributor of their tickets in effect scalping those same tickets through a secondary company like Tickets Now. We do. While many of you have sent notes to us and your local promoters, you may also send accurate informational letters to Albert Lopez of Ticketmaster, and he will try to address your questions. A final point for now. The one thing that would make the current ticket situation even worse for the fan than it is now would be Ticketmaster and Livenation coming up with a single system, thereby returning us to a near-monopoly situation in music ticketing. Several newspapers are reporting on the story right now. If you, like us, oppose that idea, you should make it known to your representatives. The abuse of our fans and our trust by Ticketmaster has made us as furious as it has made many of you. We will continue to do our utmost now and in the future to make sure that these practices are permanently curtailed on our tours. Bruce Springsteen, John Landau, and the entire Springsteen tour team.
Amazing.
That is finger on the pulse.
Yeah. When was this again?
09.
Wow.
February 09.
Right.
Yeah. He was very strident and totally... He was not the only person saying this by far, because obviously... I think it's fair to say most people in the industry watching this happen were kind of no, slow motion car crash. But I love the letter. It's great.
Absolutely.
It was published in a bunch of fucking outlets because he's Bruce fucking Springsteen.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. So I fear that he is the Cassandra of the Livenation Ticketmaster merger of 09. And we should really listen to whatever else he has to say because he really nailed it. The comments in the 2009 Rolling Stone article I got this from are also incredibly based and include the following. This is nothing new, people. We have been getting screwed by Ticket Bastard our entire lives. Their words, not mine. Guess what? It is not going to change. They are a scandalous and evil company. But they have a 90% share on the market. Bastards! All caps. Then, from a user named Lead Us to Promised Land Bruce. It is not unreasonable to consider what larger fan-oriented artists like Bruce, Fish, and Dave Matthews Band, Neil Young, Pearl Jam, The Dead, etc. could do if they joined together to develop and deploy their own ticketing systems to sell all tickets direct to their fan bases, cutting out the current ticketing services. They have the collective bargaining power to force change. Further to that, Tickets Now is a complete conflict of interest for Ticketmaster to own. The paradigm for live shows needs to be rethought, and now is the time. 09. Different user. Ticketmaster, we know you are effing with us, and it's only a matter of time till this shit ends. If only people had taken Pearl Jam more seriously over a decade ago. They also had shit to say about this. And finally, from user Deadhead. Even after 45 years, the Dead family have it figured out. For their upcoming tour, fans bought tickets directly from the band through mail order. No fees, good seats, it can be done. I love these people, man. Like that, it was a beautiful comment section.
That's amazing.
So based. I think it's interesting that, the idea of, hey, Bruce and, these other bands could band together, artists that big clearly have money to invest, could make up your own system basically. No one seems to have really caught on to that. It's not a terrible idea in my opinion. I'm sure it would be logistically difficult for many, many, many reasons, but the bargaining power against Ticketmaster does, such as it is, lies largely with those big stadium artists.
Definitely. I know there are internationally touring and nationally touring smaller artists that explicitly request the venues and promoters to list their tickets at a specific price and to not go any higher, whether that be including
we'll get to that.
Service fee or whatever. But I think it's only a handful of people that really make an effort to do that.
Right. And honestly, a lot of those smaller artists that you mentioned don't have a ton of leverage as far as like other
thing.
things. Because like we'll get to a little anecdote with The Cure later where basically that happened. So much like Cassandra's insistence that the wooden horse gifted to her city by the Greeks would be its downfall, the right people did not listen to Bruce Springsteen, and Troy fell to Ticketmaster. I was so proud of writing that line. I'm not going to lie to you. I may have been high as fuck, but I was very proud of it.
Beautiful.
Bruce Springsteen is the Cassandra of our time. So this brings us to the recent past. Per their own website, Livenation sells 550 million tickets annually to 121 million individual fans for 44,000 concerts. Those numbers are not dated. They're on like a promotional part of their website. So I assume like 25 or 24. I don't know. Now, according to their 2026 Q1 earnings call, which I did read. This podcast is going to cook my brain. According to the Q1 earnings call, Live Nation is on pace for double-digit growth this year, which is stunning for a company of their size, right? Like, my company grows fucking triple digits every year. That's because we're tiny.
Right.
Like, adding double digits to what they're already making is
insane.
Absolutely crazy, right? In Q1, they sold 11% more tickets than in Q1 2025. Q1 revenue was... You want to guess?
$3 trillion?
You're close. 3.8 billion. Q1. Literally, I read that stat. I wrote it down. I walked away. And in my head, I was like, oh, yeah, their profit for 2025, 3.8 billion, right? No, that's one quarter.
That's insane.
It's
profit for
profit.
one quarter.
Oh, no, not profit. I apologize. Revenue. That is their revenue. There's their total revenue. Interestingly, regarding profit, they actually ran a relatively small loss of 371 million. And they claim that that is because they put aside 450 million that the company told the New York Times represents our best estimate of the ultimate loss associated with the settling states and the jury's damages award. They put aside a chunk of money in anticipation of like how this will pan out. And that caused them to run a deficit of like roughly that amount of money, which is very strange to me because that would indicate that they're running a pretty tight ship in terms of revenue to profit.
I guess so.
Which I guess at this level, that probably means that that's like executive bonuses and like, I don't know, investor payouts might be included in that. Who fucking knows?
That's true.
But it is interesting to me that it's really, really close like that. So on their balance sheet, they claim... Brace yourself. Would you like to guess again for total assets?
No, I'm scared.
26 billion in total assets. 26 billion. And 15 billion in liabilities. So this is an $11 billion company because that's technically how a way to value companies is assets minus liabilities. That's 11 billion. So something I found interesting while I was looking into this, things like goodwill and intangible assets count towards that total of the assets. And Live Nation claims $3 billion in goodwill and $1.5 billion in intangible assets.
Does goodwill, does that include like charity?
So goodwill in this context does not mean what we think it means.
Okay.
Investopedia described it to me as, because again, the show is cooking my brain. When a company purchases another, it often pays more than the net fair value of the target's assets and liabilities. This excess is recorded as goodwill, an intangible asset reflecting brand strength, customer loyalty, and proprietary technology, among other factors. It signifies a competitive edge and justifies premiums paid during acquisitions. Right. So this basically means that they overpaid from the technical value of some of their acquisitions with the intent of that making up for like brand value or some shit like that. The interesting thing about that to me, I would not say that Live Nation has particularly good brand strength. Like the average customer fucking hates them. Yeah. There's no loyalty. You're just forced to use them. For sure. I guess you could argue that if I'm on Live Nation versus like some random ticketing site I've never heard of before, I'm more confident that Live Nation is not going to give me a virus. Yeah, that's all I got.
More security associated with it.
It's basically a commodity at this point, right?
But does the goodwill technically, in like that overvaluation for branding, refer to the company that they're acquiring? So would it be paying for that branding as opposed to...
Right. So I think despite this being a very wishy-washy concept,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I believe it indicates that they have like bought brands that they have paid that amount in excess for.
Right.
Well, okay, so intangible assets, which was a separate line item, that's the 1.5 billion. That can also include brand recognition and trademarks.
Right.
So I think their brand recognition, the value of that to them would be under intangible assets, whereas goodwill is like the fact that they have overpaid for these other companies, which I don't know why that's an asset. Like this whole thing is very bizarre because honestly, when you get to this level, money is just like a vague concept. Like this doesn't make any fucking sense. This is not concrete in any way. Like, okay, as a business owner, right? Obviously I understand the importance of branding, of having name recognition, of people trusting you. That's how we get all of our fucking clients is people literally like trust me as a person. But like 1.5 billion? I don't know. It's weird. Like if you ask me to value my business right now, right, I would count up all of our equipment and then all of the materials that we have lying around. And then, I mean, you get some for brand recognition, but geez, it's not that much.
I guess, yeah, it's complicated to grasp at that level. But when it comes to brand recognition, it definitely is something that, while yes, is relatively intangible, can be somewhat accounted for just based on current client base and position within the overall market within your industry.
So basically the fact that they are a monopoly and have all these exclusive contracts with people. Okay, I see.
So part of that valuation comes from that.
Music business.
Still insane.
A crazy amount, regardless. I actually genuinely wonder if the ruling could damage their brand reputation to a degree that affects that. But again, like my perception of their brand reputation is pretty terrible already, so I don't know how they're going lower from there.
That's the thing. I also don't know if it would even deter venues from continuing the contracts that they have with Livenation and Ticketmaster, and if it would just deter people from actually continuing to use them.
I think, yeah. You mean you think it might if they, or you think they won't?
Think it won't.
You don't think it will?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think like my understanding is that the desired legal outcome would be something more like the people who do not want to be in that exclusive contract would now have the leverage to not be in it without being punished, essentially, by Livenation. So the hope is of the suit is to break up their actual power rather than the soft power of brand recognition.
For sure.
But I do think you're right. Like, I'm sure they're a reliable enough company on the ticketing side, like, you know, or the other things that they do, which we're going to get to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's weird because like I said, it's basically a commodity at this point. So it's, I don't know. So the prosecutors from the DOJ claimed that Ticketmaster holds an 86% share of the market in primary ticket sales. So of every $100 spent on buying event tickets in the world, well, in America, 86 of them go back to Ticketmaster. Livenation claimed that if you took sports tickets into account, it was more like 40%. I would argue that's a completely different market and audience base. I think it's also immaterial to our question today, which is this aspect of the music industry a monopoly?
Right.
So I'm sticking with 86%, but also kind of a lame move by them to begin with. Like, oh, well, if you count football games, like, shut up. Yeah, we know you're not in sports ticketing, asshole. Yeah. Like, it's not the point. So while I was researching this episode, I found these two economists who have written a paper on this very topic for something called the American Economic Liberties Project. Now, that is a suspicious name to me. Immediately struck me as conservative, libertarian sounding, so I was a little skeptical. I looked into them. It is, in fact, an anti-monopoly think tank. From their website, working together with a growing network of allies, we call on the government to reassert essential policy tools like aggressive investigatory agendas, robust antitrust enforcement, I'm doing the Obama now, anti-corruption measures, corporate accountability, and a reinvigorated administrative state to challenge monopolies' dominance over markets and society. So, despite their very suspicious-sounding name, I like them. This paper I found was written by Catherine Van Dyke and Lee Hepner, published January 2024. Both of them are lawyers who have basically specialized in antitrust law for their entire careers. They both seem very impressive, so I will be leaning on this paper a lot. Mm-hmm. So in their paper for the AELP, they claim that Livenation actually has 5 divisions: live events, concert promotion, venue operations, artist management, ticketing services, or Ticketmaster, and sponsorship advertising sales, which is so incidental revenue-wise that they're not even worried about it.
Wow.
Just bat it to the side, basically. Interestingly, the Livenation website only lists 3 things that they do.
Uh-huh.
This is weird, right?
Yeah.
Concerts. We are the world's largest producer of live entertainment. Ticketing. We are the world's leading ticketing platform. And then a little bit about their sponsorship division.
Right.
Which is, again, basically nothing. The website does not mention their venue operation or artist management divisions, and I have a hunch that is because they know it would make them sound way too much like they actually control the entire music industry.
Right.
Also, you'll note that of all those 4 main revenue streams, they are driven by artists, right? Without artists, no concerts, no need for venues or ticketing, and obviously for artist management, that money is coming even more directly from the artists themselves. So we have these 4 divisions, right? And they do different things. Let's imagine for a second, I'm a musician, I'm playing, stadium tours, I'm with Livenation. My tickets cost $100, and these are all totally made up numbers here. This is just illustrative. When a fan buys a ticket online, immediately Ticketmaster takes their cut, right? So then that, $90 gets to the venue who's dealing with ticketing. The venue has rent to pay, it has staff to pay, it has air conditioning and a sound system and all this stuff. So say the venue takes $40. The $50 I have left over so far, the promoter, is a separate division, again, then has to actually promote with that, run ads, that kind of thing, booking fees. I don't know how fucking promoters work at this kind of high level, but they take money, right?
Yeah.
Say they take $25. If I'm the artist, I'm about to be like, great, I have $25. Now my team is taking their percentage from that because that is how they get paid, and my manager takes, say, 20% of my $25, which is actually about industry standard, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
20%?
20%?
Depends on the manager.
Well, yeah.
It's 10 to 15% usually.
Okay.
For booking agent, for managers, I guess
For
it
manager,
varies.
I think it
might be 20%.
I did some
I think it might be.
Googling, and the Google AI machine told me that 15 to 20 was normal for managers.
Yeah.
That is, of course, bullshit, so we'll never know. The managers that I know take fucking nothing because they're working with artists who do not make that much money, so I don't know. Anyways, so say my manager takes 20% of my $25. I now have $20 in profit from a $100 ticket. That's not that bad, all things considered, but the fucked up thing is that every single one of those $80 that left me along the way could have conceivably gone to one entity, which is in this case Livenation. Mm-hmm. All of that money. This is a business concept called vertical integration. It happens when, if you picture the supply chain as literally a chain, the company in link 3 starts buying up companies in links 2 or 4 that either create the materials link 3 company use or distribute its finished product. To go back to my business, if I was trying to do this, I would look at buying the screen printing ink company or my wholesaler for t-shirts. And then when I've done that, maybe I start buying the companies that own the factories that sew t-shirts. And then the companies that dye the yarn and the thread and spin the yarn and thread. And hypothetically, I could go all the way up to owning the cotton field. That is vertical integration, when you have control of the supply chain from step to step. Mm-hmm. It is different from horizontal integration, which is basically when you buy your competitors. So one sort of easy example of this is Disney acquired Pixar in 2006. They both produce movies. They're at the same level of the supply chain, ignoring that Disney is a gigantic corporate behemoth.
Right.
But in the context of movies, that is horizontal integration. Mm-hmm. Also, for the record, my very rough back of the napkin numbers that I just did with the $100 ticket, I'm basing that on a 1993 interview with Nirvana, where at the time tickets to their shows were $17, and the band came away with about 25% of that in profit, and then divided that by the 3 members, so they each got $175 per ticket. Literally 10% of the face price went to each individual in fucking Nirvana.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You'll also notice, if you look at this long enough, that Livenation has competing financial incentives between these 4 different divisions. In promotion, venues, and ticketing, their incentive is obviously to maximize their cut of my $100 ticket, Only as artist management are they incentivized to maximize my cut. And in fact, as venue, they want to basically pitch artists for as low as they can, right? And I don't mean that as a value statement. That's just how negotiation works. Like I say, I need a $10,000 guarantee. You say 8, we meet in the middle at 9. If Livenation is both the venue and on the artist team in this negotiation, they are essentially negotiating against themselves, for one. And they have the most to gain from undercutting the artist, because if that extra 1,000 of my guarantee goes to the artist team instead of the venue, Livenation only stands to gain a % of it through the manager.
Right.
So obviously in the real world, these are like different people who have those competing economic interests, but they work for the same company. Yeah. That is a gigantic fucking conflict of interest. That is very specifically like engineered to screw over artists, right? And like those people are, they're different people. They're incentivized to work together though. Like you work for the same company. You can make more money by like scheming together, basically. Definitely. Like I'm not claiming that this is happening, but it's the point of having a monopoly, for fuck's sake. Like
100%.
So, and that's not even the only way that Livenation undercuts artists. And this is my monopsony argument again. Mm-hmm. If Livenation owns and operates all of the major venues in the given area, you can only perform at a Livenation venue if you want to hit that town. And if you're committed to hitting that town, they can basically offer whatever they want. That makes them the only buyer of your services as a musician in that market, which is, remember what a monopsony is when there's only one buyer of a good or service.
Yeah.
And that drives down the prices musicians can command for their services. So all this, and then the way they fuck over venues, is this. Livenation's concert promotion and artist management divisions can put pressure on independent venues to use Ticketmaster for their ticketing. And I quote from the paper, "Independently owned and operated venues know that if they do not use Ticketmaster, they are unlikely to be offered the chance to host lucrative Livenation tours and events. Instead, those desirable events will go to competitor venues that use Ticketmaster or to Livenation's own venues."
Right.
This is 3 of these little arms working in tandem. But if those venues do contract with Ticketmaster, they are funneling those ticketing fees to the very entity whose venue division is outbidding them for the major non-Livenation tours. The many, many conflicts of interest here between these 4 tentacles of this business basically allow Livenation to determine which venues live or die, outbid or underbid all of their major competitors, and drive down payments for the musicians that this whole fucking industry is based on.
It's terrifying how much control they have and have had. Anyways, I don't have much more to add. It's just so
It's bad.
intense.
It's not good.
No.
And it's also again, I think my hypothesis about their website is founded because any reasonably economic-minded person, if you stare at those 4 divisions long enough, you're eventually like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
that looks wrong.
Definitely.
So, one of the dominoes in this chain that has led to us talking about this right now is Taylor Swift. In 2022, when she announced the Eras Tour, as we know, white women freaked the fuck out. Myself not included, but I am, a white woman. There was a verified fan pre-sale on November 15th, 2022 through Ticketmaster. According to Livenation chairman Greg Maffei, who cares? Sorry, Greg. The website was prepared for up to 1.5 million verified Taylor Swift fans. Verified here means that they signed up for the Ticketmaster verified fan program.
Right.
And this was supposed to somehow weed out bots, which seems strange to me because bots can definitely make accounts on stuff. That's half the point of bots.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck they were going for with that. Either way, they were prepared for 1.5 million. Jan, how many total verified fans do you think were on that website when pre-sale opened at 10 in the morning?
All 1.5 million.
14 million.
Oh my God.
Those 14 million fans and or bots crashed Ticketmaster within an hour of the starting bell, obviously. Ticketmaster also claims that of those 14 million accounts, a staggering number of them were bot attacks. I don't know who would be attacking them, whatever. Which, to be fair, is probably true. It's probably true that a lot of them were bots. I would argue probably more resale bots or something than bot attacks. By 11 a.m., the website was randomly logging people out. dropping them in a 2,000 person plus queue that did not move. Supposedly, people saw tickets in their cart disappear and then reappear on the secondary market for 3 times the price within seconds. And because of Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing bullshit, which lets a certain number of ticket prices fluctuate based on demand, some tickets reached $20,000 on the primary market.
Insanity.
This was, like if you were, I don't know, conscious in the year 2022, you probably heard about this.
Yeah.
I didn't know the details though, and like what actually ended up happening is very fucking funny. They were like, oh, this ticket in your cart? No, sorry, bitch. Like, that's so funny.
I remember seeing people post about it on socials, being like, what is happening? Why can't I get my ticket? And then logging back in and seeing those crazy prices.
Well, okay, and the annoying thing is, they were posting about it long before it opened, because obviously everyone in the fucking world was like, I'm gonna have to bargain my fucking grandmother for these tickets.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to commit murder. Like,
sell my body. Just sell my organs.
I will get to some of what the Swifties are saying online about this, because it is actually, to give them credit, very funny.
Okay, let's do it.
So Ticketmaster would actually sell 2 million tickets that day.
Huge.
Yeah. And I'll remind you that 14 million people were trying. So for the purposes of maybe kind of sort of being able to picture the scale of this, the chairman claims that those 2 million tickets could fill 900 stadiums. I don't actually know how that's even possible, given how many dates Swift would have announced at the time, but, whatever. The point is, it's a lot. 900, maybe he's maybe he's kind of inflating that, frankly.
Right.
We don't trust this guy. And, she did the Eras tour for, 2 or 3 years?
That's true.
But she didn't announce all of those at once. She's not doing a fucking 3 shows every day for the first year. That number does not make sense. Whatever. This is incidental, but it bothered me.
Yeah, I want to do the math later.
Bothered me because I am a nerd. So Ticketmaster basically was like, we did not and could not have expected this sheer volume of rabid Swifties. The Swifties took issue with this claim, which might be the first thing I've ever agreed with them en masse.
Right.
It was Swift's first tour in 4 fucking years. Well before presale opened, fans were joking on Twitter, which we will continue to detonate, by the way. I'm
absolutely
committed to that. They were joking they would have to be committing murder to get tickets. They were jokingly spreading rumors that Taylor would do something horrible so people wouldn't go see her. They were saying, LOL, I heard Taylor's gonna, shoot a gay couple on stage. And then one that I saw, this is true, was claiming the money from her Detroit show would go to defunding Planned Parenthood. Which is so obviously a joke.
Yeah.
But also, given that Swift is, a pro-Planned Parenthood lib, or at least was much more clearly at the time. I think when you are as big as Livenation Ticketmaster is here, going, whoops, we underestimated by over 900%. That's how many times 1.5 goes into 14, by the way. It's fucking over 9. Is just not acceptable. And also, particularly, this estimate should have been based on your own fucking verified ticketing program that you know how many people signed up for it, right? I guarantee you, it's not like all of these Swifties already had a fucking verified Ticketmaster fan thing. Millions of them would have had to sign up anew for this.
Yeah.
And frankly, you should have been able to look at a fucking chart of your verified fan numbers and a goddamn timeline and put some fucking thoughts together. That, it is just not acceptable that they did not anticipate this. It is completely fucking egregious incompetence, in my opinion. An interesting thing about this is that Live Nation does not do Taylor's promotion. Her tour was just on Ticketmaster. Maffei, the Live Nation chairman, said, interestingly, AEG, our competitor, who is the promoter for Taylor Swift, chose to use us because we are, in reality, the largest and most effective ticket seller in the world. Even our competitors want to come on our platform, which is just immediately shut the fuck up. Be so serious right now. Shut the fuck up. A spokesperson for AEG Presents, who was at the time Live Nation's biggest competitor for concert promotion, responded thusly. Ticketmaster's exclusive deals with the vast majority of venues on the Eras Tour required us to ticket through their system. We didn't have a choice.
I was gonna say, yes, they're direct competitors for promotion, but AEG doesn't have a ticketing platform.
Yeah, and also, literally the stadiums that Taylor Swift has to do stadiums, okay? I'll criticize her on environmental concepts all day long, but like she has to be in fucking stadiums.
Yeah.
Like there's no other way for her to do a show. And I also think that this point was kind of underreported amongst all these articles that were like, whoa, the Swifties are freaking out kind of thing. Or like, oh, Ticketmaster, crashed or whatever.
Right.
Taylor Swift's fucking concert promoter can't get away from Ticketmaster. Like, because Ticketmaster owns this fucking space. And in this industry, if Taylor Swift, if her people cannot manage something, it is not fucking doable. Like,
fair. Yeah.
She has like run like campaigns, right? The Masters thing. Like people were paying attention to that.
Absolutely.
She can do whatever the fuck she wants. She's a multi-billionaire. Actually, I don't know if she's a multi-billionaire. She's a billionaire. So after the Swifties posted to Twitter about this, disaster, the American Economic Liberties Project, the antitrust lawyers that I was quoting earlier, convinced fucking 50,000 Swifties to write letters to the DOJ.
Amazing.
Physical fucking letters in 2022, asking the feds to reopen their investigation into Livenation as a monopoly. And it fucking worked. Reports that the DOJ had started like digging around again started coming out the same month. And the DOJ suit was officially brought on May 23rd, 2024, just about a year and a half later, which is pretty quick for like Fed stuff. The connection is actually so clear that the very first sentence of the Wikipedia entry for the court case states that it was brought following the Taylor Swift Ticketmaster controversy in 2022. This is like general knowledge. Like,
amazing.
It's so crazy. Credit is, of course, also due to, like, other people had been pushing the DOJ on this, other, antitrust activists, stuff like that. There were people within the government, AOC and Senator Klobuchar both, like, have things to say about this. Multiple state attorneys general had opened investigations. So, like, it was by far, let's give credit to everyone who was sort of doing this work before it became a big news story. But the Swifties had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Which I didn't expect going in. I don't know. I'd either forgotten that this had happened or just never knew about, never made that connection. And Taylor is, of course, not the only artist Ticketmaster has fucked over recently. This is what I was talking about earlier. Robert Smith of The Cure once tweeted re-Ticketmaster fees, and he tweets in all caps, so hang on. I have been asking how they are justified. If I get anything coherent by way of an answer, I will let you all know. The Cure had tried to keep their ticket prices low for fans, which in some cases resulted in $20 tickets with $27.15 in fees.
Yeah.
For a total of $47.15. That included a service fee of $11.65, a facility charge of $10, and an order processing fee of $5.50. I don't understand what service Ticketmaster is providing that justifies the entire price of a ticket again in fees. Obviously, software requires money to run at scale. I am not debating that. But I don't think it's that much money.
No.
Like, just sniff test this one,
right.
It smells bad.
Yeah, that happened to me when I was buying a ticket for some local show. It wasn't like a big major stadium show. I mean, it must have been at either Bowery Ballroom or something.
Sure, yeah. Which is sort of the most non-local of the local venues.
And it was the same thing. Ticket service fees were literally the same. Like, the cost was the same as just the ticket on its own. I was like, I'm just going to buy it at the door.
Yeah.
Like, why? I don't understand.
At a certain point, you are making yourself look so bad that I will give my money to someone else. Yeah. Because this is just that annoying. Like, the power of spite will, I feel, can go a long way here. Which is basically what was powering the Swifties, right?
Yeah.
Where do we currently stand? To recap, to the best of my limited legal understanding, 38 states plus DC joined the feds in the lawsuit against Livenation Ticketmaster. 6 states plus the DOJ have agreed to the kind of shitty settlement. The rest of the states have continued on in the lawsuit. A jury found Livenation guilty of being a monopoly. We are currently waiting for Judge Arun Subramanian to give us his ruling on what should happen to Livenation. And Livenation, as they have posted on their blog, they are fighting this at every fucking turn, being really obnoxious about it, plugging up the works and slowing down the process, which is, to be fair to them, the best business practice they could take right now, which is why we need antitrust mechanisms in government.
Yeah.
So, what is the ideal solution from our perspective? I happen to agree with the AELP economists Hepner and Van Dyke that I've been citing this episode. I think that Live Nation's 4 main divisions need to be broken up and made independent companies. That would be concert promotion, which was originally Live Nation's raison d'etre, if you'll recall. venue operations, artist management, and ticketing or Ticketmaster. We don't care where sponsorships goes to. Anyone can take them. The scale of these operations is such that them being combined is inherently anti-competitive. And this was true in 2009 too, I would argue. Which is also a bit odd to say, because as a business owner, the lens of being a business owner is one of the ones that I view the world through, because I'm thinking about it for well over 40 hours a week. So technically, vertical integration is a great business decision. If I made enough money to buy our fucking ink supplier, I would. Technically, this is a good business model. Just like Livenation delaying the ruling on this for as long as possible is a good business decision for them.
Right.
Jan, did you ever watch 30 Rock?
No.
So, 30 Rock, sitcom, Tina Fey, it's good, whatever. It's about an NBC sitcom, right? And her boss, Jack, shows her this chart. And you will see that at the top, you want to just describe it there a little bit.
Okay.
We don't need the text, but just what's going on here. Here's NBC.
Okay, so General Electric branches off into domestic appliances, aeronautics, and energy. So 3 main categories.
I don't think we need to read all of them, but there's different branches of this business, and this is getting a little chaotic here. We can put it on screen, but aeronautics here, that's vertical integration.
Yes.
Right. And then
even in energy, it's mostly vertical integration.
Right, it's mostly stuff that has to do with that aspect of the business. Because again, this is just good business.
Yes.
And then also, I think notably over here, obviously this is a joke, right? This is from 30 Rock. But over here is a bunch of sort of more random businesses.
Yeah.
And interestingly, that used to be what companies did. Mm-hmm. If you were a successful company...
You would diversify.
You're right, you would diversify, and that's how we end up with entities like GE, who have their fingers in all sorts of things, or Disney, you could argue, is also probably a good example of this. Frankly, from a business owner's perspective, either diversifying like that, or horizontal or vertical integration, it's a great business strategy. And in a totally free market capitalist society, that was probably what would happen in every sector. Monopolies that control prices to the detriment of both the customers and the workers. Again, this is why, at least under our current formation of having a society and a federal government, I think the federal government needs to be implementing those checks and balances on big corporations like this.
100%.
I think regulation is good sometimes, particularly in this case. As Van Dyke and Hepner say, these divestments that they recommend and the behavioral remedies that we also propose, which we'll get to, are exactly what the Sherman Act and Clayton Act were designed for, and the Justice Department's authority to enforce those laws should be used to these ends here. It's just what the government is here to do.
Yeah.
I tend towards anarchism, right? We could talk about that. I'm kind of a bad anarchist in many ways, but I don't love the feds. I think they do a lot of shit they shouldn't be doing. However, what is the fucking point of having a government if they do not help their citizens? And I start arguing that with food, shelter, education.
100%.
And I think it extends to this, because this is something that is affecting the fucking citizens. Even
Definitely.
if you go outside the industry, people don't like having to pay fucking ticket fees all the time. This is, what is the government for if not this?
Yeah.
So then these lawyers write several paragraphs in this paper about how crucial it is to, separate this company into these 4 branches, which of course, again, Livenation says they will fight kicking and screaming the whole way.
Right.
And then I read this. Separating Livenation into 4 separate firms will not on its own restore competition. Which is of course true, but I would love for it to be an easy solution.
Yeah.
So we're getting beyond my understanding of if these things that are coming would help, but I will tell you what these lawyers recommend, which is the remedies they propose are that Ticketmaster should be required to license its software to competitors in perpetuity. So previously in 2009, the consent decree was you have to license it to this one competitor.
Right.
Their proposal is you have to license it for whoever, basically. They say it doesn't have to be royalty free. It probably couldn't be legally, because that's basically just forcing them to give away something.
Right.
So Ticketmaster would still be getting paid from it, but that this should happen because basically Ticketmaster has developed this software as a result of being a monopoly for at least 2 fucking decades. So other competitors basically did not have the opportunity to even try to develop similar software. It's kind of like a privilege argument, right? I have had a head start in so many ways because of this privilege of mine. So we're at 2 forms of divestiture, the different businesses and the software. The economist's 3rd recommendation is imposing behavioral remedies. namely not allowing Ticketmaster specifically to make exclusivity agreements with venues. So it's not that other companies can't do this. They want other companies to still be able to do this. But the idea is that Ticketmaster specifically has so much power that an exclusivity agreement with them is essentially being like led around with your arm twisted behind your back, which I think is fair at this point. And fun fact, actually, the government did this to AT&T and Western Electric back in the 50s.
Wow.
They restricted AT&T from doing anything other than carrier communication, and Western Electric from manufacturing any equipment other than Bell Electrics, which is their subsidiary, forced AT&T to divest from Western Electric and didn't let them have exclusive relationships anymore. Which, when you think about it, is a lot like living in Bushwick.
That's it. Wrapping up.
So here's the final word from my favorite lawyers. I sent a friend request to one of them on LinkedIn because I was like, hey, love your work. I also was like, if you want to come on the podcast, we would love that. So
please.
I'll have to clean up the shop. But here's their ending paragraph here. The consent decree that Livenation and the Justice Department crafted was, for all intents and purposes, in 2009, a 13-year real-world experiment in the effectiveness of behavioral remedies and independent monitors. It proved that this lighter approach to merger enforcement is ineffective when one entity has monopoly power over an entire industry. In the face of skyrocketing prices for consumers, depletion of artist earnings, and erosion of independent and locally owned venues, it is time for Livenation to be broken up so competition in the live event industry can thrive, artists can earn a living wage, and consumers looking for joyous moments in a post-COVID world can see their favorite artists without paying ransom prices. As once Ticketron owner Abe Paulin put it, competition made this country great. Here's to hoping regulators let us experience its greatness. And one thing that I think is interesting there too, or not interesting, but just side note, where they said depletion of artist earnings there, and I was like, yeah. There's a bit earlier in the paper where they make the point hey, sometimes artists have to reimburse the venue for lighting and sound. And I was like, go off, yes, we know the industry, I love it, fucking based. Anyway, I think most of us who are invested in the music industry, to any degree, basically agree with this paragraph. Kind of nailed it.
Definitely.
This entity is a leech on the musicians it relies upon. Frankly, I would actually say it's more like a parasite because it has built itself into the body of this industry, and if unchecked, it will continue to grow and feed until its host dies. I put a lot of analogies in this one.
They're really good.
Thank you.
Terrifyingly good.
Yeah. And as for us, there are other ticketing services out there, of course. I think we're both very familiar with Dice. Mm-hmm. There's Eventbrite. I think I could see Partyful eventually going in the actual ticketing direction.
True.
There's RA for rave stuff. You know, there's all these sort of minor, mostly segregated by genre, I think, kind of ticketing companies. Then there's, of course, major competitors, and there are major competitors in all of these, 4 major fields of Live Nation. I don't think it's actually super helpful to list them and get really into that because it is a monopoly. And there are a lot of people working in this industry who do not have the choice of who they're going to work with. So it's not I don't think this is a moral thing here of who you're working with. If you want to not work with Live Nation for your own sake, I love that for you. But I don't think there's significant leverage for a boycott or something unless possibly what we were talking about with Springsteen earlier, if the top artists were to get together and make some sort of statement. And as your facial expression is telling me, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
Love them, but they're not economists.
No. At the end of the day, it's kind of, I think they're at the level where it kind of goes past their head, where they're aware of the situation, but it's not affecting them enough to really make a difference.
I think also when you're I don't know, an actively touring, world famous kind of person, you just got a lot of other shit to do.
Yeah.
I don't expect them to start a software company.
No.
I'd love it. I'd love it if they did. You could argue, maybe they have the money to hire or invest in, developer. I don't know. It's a cool idea. I would love it if it happened.
Yeah.
I don't think it will.
Yeah.
And as far as vote with your dollars options for the average consumer, I supporting indie venues is great. Buying drinks, going to shows there. That's the best, sort of support your local scene kind of thing I got. But honestly, I think the Swifties have the right idea. The only real lever of change in this instance is the government. I think if there's energy in the industry for some kind of mass movement, which I think there could be, despite the fact that we're all very burnt out, it should go towards regulatory pressure against these exclusivity deals and the major corporationness of all of it. Again, I personally bristle at the idea of trusting this particular administration or the feds in general with important stuff. But unfortunately, this is kind of in their hands. I will say I have hope for the future shape of the industry because, one, people are aware of this, which is huge. Two, people are mad about it. Three, I think the technology we have has the possibility to open up new ways of doing these things. Like my TED Talk proposal, which maybe one day will be an episode. Like there are different ways to address these things that I think, innovative people could potentially come up with. And then four, I think we're at a point where something has to give, basically. Because between, AI, streaming, this monopoly, other monopolies, I think there will be a change that has to happen. I don't know when or what it will be. If I could predict that, I would be a much richer person.
Oh, yeah.
Or possibly Bruce Springsteen.
Definitely.
That's kind of my end here. I'm wondering if maybe it would be worth doing an episode about the competition here, because I found some interesting interviews with the dice people that just didn't really fit into this, that maybe could fit in with like a follow-up episode once the judge's ruling comes down.
Yeah.
But yeah, any last thoughts from you?
I fully agree with you when it comes to actionable things that as like consumers and attendees for music concerts, our best thing to do is to support our local venues and local scenes as much as we can. Unfortunately, a big issue on top of this, in addition to ticketing services taking a huge percentage away from artists, a lot of venues will also take a percentage from merch. I was going to say, go buy artists' merch, but that's like a whole
merch cost is its whole own episode, right? Especially the recent sort of kerfuffle around them.
Exactly. But yeah, I do unfortunately agree that it does feel like it's in the hands of the government, and just at this point, we as fans, all we can do is listen to artists when they do have requests for any sort of direct support, and putting pressure on our representatives to take action and speak out on our behalf. And hopefully we can make a difference.
Yeah, go Tish James. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah. Thank you. This was incredibly educational and informative.
I hope it was also entertaining, because again, I've chosen a very dry topic.
No, I think it's a very important one.
John Oliver is my life inspiration in all things. Actually, wait. Okay, quick anecdote before we move out. I was at the Mets Red Sox game yesterday with my father, because I'm from Boston, but the Mets are my adopted team because I live in Brooklyn and I will never fucking root for the Yankees. They're the evil empire to me. I will not take any criticism on this. But the Mets, as we know, are not maybe like the best team ever.
Okay.
Trust me on that.
Okay.
And I say that as I was alive and conscious when the Sox broke the curse in 2004, so I know what I mean when I say the Mets are not a great team right now. And I've never been to a game at Citi Field. The whole vibe, because again, they got whipped. It wasn't a no-hitter, but it was not good. The whole vibe, they have so many like gimmicks and bits. Like whenever there was a changeover, right, they would cut to like a literal MC being like, oh, we're spinning the wheel for a themed dance break. And then the dance break is like dad dance. And then all this shit comes up on the billboard. Obviously all like, stadiums do that to some extent. Yeah. But I've been to a lot of games at Fenway. It is way more chill. They're cutting to like guys in the parking lot doing like challenges where they're throwing a baseball and they get a shirt that says Chevy on it if they win, or like dumb shit. Like they're doing trivia, like with live people out there. They're doing all sorts of bits, and there's cheerleaders. Bro, the Mets have cheerleaders. No, don't say of course. Baseball teams don't have cheerleaders.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
Where would they be?
I have no idea.
I'm asking.
On the sidelines.
You're not the right person to answer that question. I know. The answer, by the way, is on top of the dugout.
Okay.
So I look over, and on the dugout, there's a bunch of fucking cheerleaders in short skirts, shaking their ass. And again, that is not normal for a baseball team. They might be the only one that has them. I don't know.
Okay.
It's like hockey in that there's just not cheerleaders. Like there is one team, I believe, one hockey team that has one cheerleader and she's like up in the stands or something. Like it's not a thing that happens.
Huh.
So I'm absorbing that, and then my dad says, yeah, I think there's also like boy cheerleaders or like boy dancers or something. And I'm like, first of all, weird phrasing. Thank you, Father.
Yes.
Love you, but what the fuck? Second of all, I look down at our dugout that we're on the side of, and there are in fact boy dancers. And they're not doing like cheerleading shit. Nor are they like, do they have pom-poms or anything? They're doing like the Subway Showtime like hip hop dance essentially. And I'm like, I don't know how to absorb this.
That's a lot.
But anyways, so all of this is happening, and again, my home team is whooping my adopted team, and so the stadium's pretty quiet because everyone's a Mets fan. At some point on the huge fucking screen, John Oliver pops up. And my dad and his girlfriend also love him, so I just start collapsing in laughter. And he's on the screen like at some event, presumably with like a Mets hat and a Mets background behind him, and it's like this pre-recorded video of him like psyching up the crowd. And at some point he does like the "I can't hear you," just dissolving in laughter. It didn't work, by the way.
No. Was it just complete silence?
It was regular stadium level hum, but again, they were getting whooped pretty bad, so it's hard to make the stadium have fun at that point. It was like the 8th inning or something. His face was so big. Could not stop laughing enough to like cheer, because I'm a person at like baseball games. I cheer, I participate.
Yeah, sure.
I was just fucking wheezing. Like, it was so funny. I can't hear you. Shut the fuck up.
On that note, we can't hear your cheering applause.
You're right. We can't. Follow us on social media at Bushwick Famous on all cool social media. And my good friend Robert is working on a website for us right now, which will someday host all of my sources for these episodes, which no one will ever check, but I'll feel good about having up there. Jan, didn't Diary put something out recently?
Yeah, we have a new single called Keep Coming Up out on all platforms.
You need to get better at this, homie.
I am so bad at promoting myself. Yeah, listen to Keep Coming Up by Diary. We're Diary Sounds on Instagram and just Diary on all streaming platforms. And we have an album coming out early September. I'm blanking on the date right now. But it's called Spiral Bound. You can pre-save it and pre-order a vinyl if you want.
You did get good at that out of nowhere once you clocked in. Holy shit.
But yeah.
Lock the fuck in.
Yeah. Thanks. Anywho.
And Jan's private on Instagram, but I can be found at Lady Grey Glass and or Lady Killer Press.
Yeah.
So follow us, Bushwick Famous. We would love it if you rate and reviewed the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to, because it is actually super helpful with the algorithm, apparently. So if you liked this episode, feel free to go do that. We would appreciate it very much. And we have an email if you are an expert in something related to the music industry or have an idea for an episode we could cover. It's bushwickfamous@gmail.com. We have just Bushwick Famous on everything because it is a weird name that I came up with. So no one else has ever thought of it for some reason.
Interestingly enough, yeah.
Stephanie Germanotta, you will never be Bushwick Famous.
Anyways, thank you so much for listening and
we're
for
getting
your
loopy.
support.
This has been Bushwick Famous.
Yay!
Bye!
Bye!